Jack Smith had a 95% conviction rate. Yes, Jack Smith, the one who was sitting in front of the House Oversight Committee yesterday, being torn apart by the people who entrusted him to work at the Department of Justice for 30 years, had a 95% conviction rate, which means that if Jack Smith went to court 9 times out of 10, he got a conviction. And that's the guy who said that the Tangerine Twat Waffle in the Oval Circus was guilty of overthrowing or attempting to overthrow the election, and also taking files and plans and putting them in Mar-a-Lago. That guy. But yet somehow, at the House Oversight Committee yesterday, people that entrusted him to uphold the law were accusing him of trying to weaponize that law just to gain a conviction. But when you have a 95% conviction rate, which was bipartisan, by the way, he was hitting Democrats and Republicans the entire time, it questions if he was so horrible that you have to tear him apart yesterday on why was it that you left him in office for 30 years? Why is it that you're tearing him apart and trying to attack his credibility or his somehow moral code, but yet for 30 years you had him working, trying to prosecute for you to help bring justice to the American people? And yet the Department of Justice's own Pam Bondi has failed to be brought up on contempt of charge by the House Oversight Committee because she's actually refusing to hand over the files. But you want to bring a contempt charge against Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton for refusing to answer questions at your Oversight Committee hearing, but yet you know for a fact Pam Bondi is not complying with the Transparency Act, and yet you're still not going to bring any charges against her, and you're trying to talk about weaponization of the justice system? How can you possibly... New polling shows the approval rating of ICE is so low that parents in the United States would rather see their children on the pole than become ICE agents. The Constitution and the laws of the land have been violated by the very people that swore an oath to uphold the laws of the land and the Constitution, yet they aren't slowing down. They're not worried about the blue wave, how blue politicians have been elected into office, how approval ratings are plummeting. They're acting as if they have aces up the hole, like they seem to know something that the rest of us doesn't, and that leads me to believe that the midterms or an election in 2028 is a farce, because we're watching a Department of Justice violate a law that was put into order and signed by the President of the United States, and yet nobody's holding them accountable. You want to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton accountable and put them in front of the House Oversight Committee on contempt charges, yet the DOJ is out and out refusing to release the files that a law was signed just recently by this president, and that no contempt charges for violating that law? How is that justified in any way, shape, or form? So it still lends to the reason, if these people are doubling down on cruelty and harm onto the people of this country, knowing that they're going to lose the midterm elections, maybe they just realize they're not really going to lose the midterm elections, because if they don't have any midterm elections, then there's nothing to worry about. And how can you call this the United States of America when you have 9 states being targeted and funds are being cut off and they are being isolated from the rest of the world because they refuse to bend the knee to the Tangerine Waffle in the Oval Circus? Make your voice heard. Share this with more people.